Good morning. This is Rain from Victory Gardens by Rain. I want to thank you guys so much for being here. I am super excited because today we're going to do a garden tour of my veggie garden in the back. My veggie garden is a little bit of a potager veggie garden, and so I'm really excited because I think it's so beautiful and I'd like to share that with you. But first, what I'm going to do is right here in the front, this is kind of like the holding area of where my plants are. This right here is plants that I have extra left over, and I tend to donate those or give them away, or whoever wants to use them can come and grab them. Excuse me, I've got the hiccups. And then right here is just another extension of giveaway plants, and also this is a example of my multi-sowing tray where I've got to divide, and hopefully I'll get to that today. But over here is some blooms that I've purchased to add some color and some joy to the garden. And then this is all that over there is stuff that I pulled from my friends. I stored over at her house during the move, and that just kind of got left right there, which is cool because, you know, I got to organize it. And then this right here, I'm super excited about a lot of what's on this palette because I went to a plant sale at my local Master Gardeners extension agency. They had my local extension agency's Master Gardener program. That is a mouthful. So anyway, they had a lot of really unique plants that I'm very excited to get my hands on. One of them is comfrey, which I'm going to be using to create a compost tea that is a really great fertilizer for the garden. Another one is I've got lemongrass. I've got bachelor's buttons, which are gorgeous. I ended up getting some where I had donated from my old garden. I had donated hostas that I divided that my dad planted, and when I moved I realized I didn't have any, and so they gifted back a hosta bulb for me, which I'm super excited about that. I've got some lavender and some rosemary, strawberries, and just some other fun things right here. Some peppers that I got from my local social circle Ace is the place. And then I was able to get this rose, which the bloom has faded on it already, but you guys, it is so stunning. It starts out kind of like pinky white, and then it has like a creamy yellow in it, and it's just, and the rose itself is like this big. It's huge. So I can't wait to get this in the ground and fertilize, and hopefully I'll get some new blooms from it because I've got some new growth going on, and I've got some rose tone fertilizer that I'll plant with it as well. So let's go back to the entrance of the garden so I can show you guys all of this right here in the front. This is like a pollinator garden slash entryway garden slash because I want to plant it fun. I actually have 3 blueberry plants. There's one here, right here. This is a regular blueberry. It's called, the variety is called emerald blueberry. And then over here I have, this one is pink lemonade. So the blueberries on here are actually going to be pink, which I think is super exciting. Jackson behind the camera is all excited too. This is obedient plant, and these are rosemary plants where they actually grow at like in a trailing pattern, so they'll actually spread and stay low and grow. So I'm really excited about that. And then this is a basil plant that I love, and it's called African Blue, and it gets massive. It gets like this big. Actually, it gets bigger than that. I've just pruned it. I'm curious to see how big it actually gets. But this basil is the best basil to make basil tea out of. It is my new favorite situation, and I love it. It tastes just like summer. I've got gomphrena. I cannot remember the name of that plant to save my life, and I thought I saved the container, and I'll find it in probably 3 years. So anyway, this is the entrance. So we will eventually have a moon gate going right here. And my plan is to have like a half door that's like a hobbit door. So it looks like you're entering into the Shire when you come into the garden, which I think is so fun. Down this way, I've just kind of started on the pollinator part on this way, and I've got the obedient plant, another blueberry plant, and then there's one down here. I'm not very familiar with this plant, but it is a native, which my heart is to really focus on native plants here because I want to attract the native ecosystem and, you know, still have some fun stuff. But this is called something. We're just gonna hold that up right there. Can you read it?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, but I just think it's so lovely. But the fact that it was a native, and so it actually blooms in June and July. So we'll see how it goes. And the fact that it's a perennial is just totally a plus. All right, so back to the entrance. These are interesting too. I love those. So this is the beginning of the garden. Over here, I've got some nasturtium growing. I've got zinnias, and then my friend's little boys came over, and I like to let any babies that come over to sprinkle some seeds in the garden. I think that's just such a fun little thing for them to have. And so they planted purple carrots, and that's what's going on here. I've got Pissa Asta, I don't know how to say that. I'm messing that all kind of up. This variety, and then La Lusang variety. Listen, I didn't say I was a linguistic person.
If anybody could like send us
the actual pronunciation of those things,
that would be great.
Yeah. And then in here, I've got some sad cabbages that I found when the greenhouse blew over, which we'll probably end up pulling those out. But right here, these are zinnias, little baby zinnias. And I've got some, well, I've planted beans in here twice. Green bean variety and, well, 2 green bean varieties. And they're just not growing. I don't know what's going on with that. But they're also really old seed packets. And during the move, my seeds got exposed to some heat. So I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it. But over here, these are dragon tongue beans. And they're growing quite nicely.
That sounds delicious.
Yeah, those are the ones that the pod is white with purple stripes on it.
Oh yeah, those are delicious.
Yes, they are very good. So I'm excited about that. I've got another cabbage here on the end. We'll go this way. Right here is, I've got yarrow with a friend on it. I don't know what kind. I'm gonna have to look that one up. I've never seen it. This is alyssum, and then I've got 2 types of Persian shield basil right there. Now, I've tried to start zucchini in this bed twice, and it is also not germinating. So I'm really praying that my seeds are not sad, that they're just really old packs. Right here, we've got an example of high intensity planting, which is what I prefer to do. And I have mortgage lifter tomatoes. And then I've got wasabi arugula going to seed, which I'm going to be collecting the seed. But the reason why I let it go ahead and go is because of the companion planting and attracting the pollinators, trying to get an ecosystem. So this garden is only a few months old. So my goal here for this season, my prayer is that I get production, of course, to feed my family and to have abundance to share. But also, I'm really trying to focus on building the ecosystem from the start so that as the years go by, I will be using less and less of strategic moves to be able to combat pests in this garden. So I really want to start pulling in the predator pollinators and not pollinators, the predator insects and things like that to build the ecosystem. So with doing that, I'm letting a lot of things go to seed, not only for seed collection, but because they love it. They love these blooms. So what else do I have in here? I've got some salvia that's back in the corner that you can't really see right this second. But let's come around here, Jackson. These tomatoes, I'm excited. Today is May 2nd, right? May 2nd. And it's the National Day of Prayer. But these are already starting to produce blooms. So I'm really excited about that. So we should be getting tomatoes pretty soon off of these guys. And they're short. So I've never grown mortgage lifters in this environment. My old place, I had to wait until about June to plant. Jeez. Did you see that? I had to wait till about June to plant because of the positioning of the sun for it to have enough sun for a tomato to grow. So I'm really excited to see this. I love it. I've actually got to come through here and prune so that we'll get some airflow going through. But other than that, this is pretty much how I'm going to let it go. I'm not going to put a trellis on it unless it gets massive. We'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I'm just letting it do its thing. So that's exciting. This is also mortgage lifter tomatoes, but they were planted a few weeks later. So these are a little bit shorter than the other ones. And I will say, just kind of going on a side note here, these guys were started at the same time with the seed packet, and then they were put in containers at the same time, but they were transplanted differently at different times. So when it says dates to harvest on your seed pack, the back of your seed pack, that means dates from the transplant day. So 70 days from the day that it's in its forever home is when it will start producing fruit. So that's just a notation there. Okay, so this is another blueberry right here. And then over here, sir, it's good, baby, good boy. In this bed, it is high intensity planting as well, but it has, sir, come, good boy, lay down, scratch. So in here, I've got baby peppers right here, and then I'm gonna plant these million bells. But I usually mulch with weed straw, but the weed straw bale that I got is full of seeds, and it's not normal for that to happen, but it's happening. And so once you have the wheat straw sprout, you can just shift it and then let the grass sprouts lay on top of the soil, and they'll dry out and it'll be just fine. It's a little bit of a pain, but that's okay, you know. And then my nephew and I went to a local nursery, growers outlet. If you're in Georgia, that's pretty well known. It's semi close to my house, not too far. But he wanted to get strawberries, so we popped some strawberries in here, and he was the cutest thing. Shopping, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was one of the first time we got to go plant shopping together, and I may or may not have let him convince me to buy more plants than I needed. So in this bed we have tomatoes, we'll have peppers, and in here I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 pepper plants, 5 tomato plants, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I had 5 strawberries, but one of them kicked the bucket. But 5 strawberries, and then I'll have the blooms in here too. So I try to use as much space available in my beds to produce as much food as possible. I just recently did a video on high intensity gardening, which is kind of what I practice here. Go ahead and check that out. And while you're checking that out, please hit that like and subscribe button, and make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. Let's go over here and check out these beds. So these, when I got the salvage package from my local Ace Hardware, they bring you, what they do is they bring you in what's left over from a house build, you know, and it's kind of like some of these pieces, well, mostly from a house build. Other pieces are pulled from the bales that are like a little bit wane and then got a little bit of, you know, twist in it or just kind of things like that. Well, we lucked out, or God blessed us is really what happened with these things right here. These are 2x12s, and so we were able to make just one long, they're 2x12x20. Okay, score. This is like a bazillion-dollar bed, right, in today's lumber prices. But we were able to make just a short bed, which I don't love having short beds because I like to have my garden as accessible as possible. But these are really good. I'm going to be using these for like my taller crops. So I'll have the tomatoes here, peppers here, which peppers can get pretty tall. And then in this bed right here, right now what I have in this bed is bok choy, Swiss chard, peas, and potatoes, basil, and a couple of flowers. And so I'm actually using this to have some food growing while I'm waiting for time to plant my corn. So I'm going to plant my corn in this whole row. So it'll be a taller crop too. So that, I don't mind it being so short. I'm actually very thankful for this lumber because we were able to do this right here, and especially because of the tomatoes. So I'm really excited about that. Now back here, right back here, we've slowly cleared out this area, kind of, so I don't really know how far back it goes to where our property ends, but our chicken coop is actually going to go in this little grove of trees right here. And so we're just kind of slowly cleaning it out because we are covered in poison ivy. And so what we're doing is we're collecting cardboard as we can, and we're laying cardboard pretty thickly out and then covering it with the mulch that I got. The power company came through and cleared out branches and things from the power lines, and it was literally right here at my house. And so I was like, pretty please, and they said sure. And so I have this huge pile of mulch that my sweet neighbor in front of me, he actually though the life in a garden, but my sweet neighbor in front of me actually brought his little tractor. He's got a smaller tractor that has a bucket on it, and so he moved it from where the power company dumped it to back here that's easily accessible for me. And so that was huge. So he was just such a blessing to be able to come do that. We were very thankful. So we're trying to get this space prepared for first and foremost the chicken coop. And then the second thing is we're actually going to continue to clear these out. We're going to keep all of the older trees, like the oaks and the native trees. There's one up here, Jackson, see if you can get a shot of that tree with the blooms on it right there. I am not sure what type of tree that is, but it is gorgeous, and I want to keep it as long as it's not an invasive species. But definitely try to clear out a lot of the native Nandina is what it looks like. I'm not sure what it is, but anyway, just clear it out. And then we're going to underplant all of this and make it into like a food forest, so that there's fruit trees and berry bushes, which I've already got started. I've got 2 blackberry bushes over there in the pallets. I kind of skimmed over them because I wanted to tell you about them here, but we're just gonna plop them. They're thornless, but we're just gonna kind of plop them all through here like this. And eventually this is gonna be my greenhouse, which I'm really excited about because I'll have a pathway coming through here to the greenhouse, and then it'll circle around to go to the back of the garden. And then my compost bin will go like these 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 trees right here is kind of what is going to outline where the chicken coop is. The chicken coop is going to be 8 by 10, the actual coop, and then the run is going to be 20 by 16, and we're going to start out with 6 chickens. So I know that chicken math is a thing, and we'll probably end up with more chickens than that, but I just want to make sure that we have a coop and a run that is able to grow from the beginning. Now, they won't stay in their run at all time. I fully plan on having them out and about, but we do want to keep our deck nice, and we have a pool, and we want to make sure that we're not having extra floaties in there, and that it stays nice and clean and tidy. So my goal is to eventually get a fence, kind of like the electric fences or something like that, so that they can just kind of free range in a contained area, if that makes any sense. So anyway, that's my goal. And my prayer is to have that finished by the end of the year, but we'll see what God has in planned, and we'll see how that goes, because lumber prices are kind of steep right now. So we'll see how we can put that together, because again, my goal here with this garden is for it not to be a financial burden, and for it to be a teachable space so that people can feel like it's accessible. Right now, if you'll turn around and see this view of this lovely garden, right now we're under $2,000 for this entire endeavor, and I just think that is incredible. And that includes the cattle panel and all of the kind of hardscaping things, these, which are so expensive. From where in my area, they're expensive. Okay, so over here, so that'll be the greenhouse, and then the chicken coop and all of that. And then we've got the tomatoes here. Within the tomatoes, I actually have some cut flower sunflower varieties growing, and they're just, taking some time to grow. By the time the sunflowers are coming around, it'll be time to harvest. That is determinant varieties of tomatoes. So this back bed, this tomato bed, is a determinant variety. And I forgot to mention, my friend gifted me 2 pumpkin plants, and so I have them right here. So these will be spread out here, and there's one on each end. So I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I've never been able to grow pumpkins before because I didn't have enough sun, but it is on. So much so that this archway is the entrance to the upcoming pumpkin patch, which I'm super excited about. I'm so excited about it. It's actually going to be, I've got my friend, her daughter came over, and we started some seeds, had them soaked, and so I've got some Tigger melons from Baker Creek seeds germinated, and so we're going to go ahead and plant those and have the melons grow up like this, and then I'm going to have the tall mammoth sunflowers planted. And my friend, another friend, gave me Mexican sunflowers to spread too, and they'll just come back every year, or reseed and come back every year. So I'll have all of this seeded with sunflowers, and then down through here a lot of wildflowers. And my goal is to have this part cleared out enough to where I could just plant perennial blooms, kind of like a wildflower, cut flower situation where I don't have to maintain, but it's still pretty, grow right there, because I still want to be able to see the beautiful pasture behind me. The sun rises right on the above that grove, and it is breathtaking and it's beautiful. So I want to make sure I keep that view. So we'll have this entire area planted with pumpkins, and I'll bring you guys along with that. So, but we just put this cattle panel up last night, so I'm really excited about that. However, we do have to replace the the T-post with the heavy duty ones, because this cattle panel is bending them out. So we do have to replace that, but this is the look. So I wanted to show you guys that. Right here, is an example of a bed that my son and I put together. He was so great. He actually moved all of these logs for me. And he was such a good boy. He's behind the camera nodding. But all of these tomatoes, these are the Better Boy variety tomato. And I went to a local nursery and they had an entire tray that had been dropped and broken. And so I was like, hey, how much for that? And I got it for pennies on the dollar. And there is a total of 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-ish, 33-ish plants right there. And I hope they are looking fantastic. Like, look how beautiful they are. These look like beautifully grown, tender, cared for plants, and they are just thriving. And I just plopped them in the native soil that I had. I did a little bit of
Sorry.
I did a little bit of biotone starter fertilizer, and then I had leftover soil from up potting things and planting things and stuff like that, and so I just kind of put that in the holes just to help with root growth, and topped it with mulch. Jackson brought a bunch of mulch over here, and they are thriving. They are looking great. I need to figure out a trellising situation. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do because I wasn't planning on this, but I just thought it was a great opportunity. And I'm literally $5 that it took me to get these tomatoes, and to me that's so encouraging because you don't have to have these expensive beautiful beds and Instagram worthy gardens to be able to grow food, and this is a perfect example of that. And I'm more excited about this space right here than some of the cultivated beautiful spaces that I have, because this is encouraging. This is literally anyone can do it, and you can find branches. My friend Emily actually did an experiment last year where she used branches and things that she found in the woods to create a bed like this, and she said it turned into the most rich soil that she's had within 2 years. And so I'm here for that. That is the goal, is to steward the land in the best way possible. So now we're at the end of the back side of the garden. Don't die.
No promises.
So this is the cross. My brother from another mother actually surprised me with carving this out from a tree that we had cut down. And I had a friend come over and she was like, it was the sweetest thing. She was like, oh, you did a resurrection garden. And I was like, what is even that? I had never heard of it. And now that I know, which a resurrection garden is just simply a picture of the resurrection story from when Jesus rose from the grave after he died on the cross for 3 days. And so I just think that's just the most beautiful thing, that it's just coming together. So I've got some things up on the pallets up front to where I'm actually going to really focus on planting this, so that it's kind of so there's definitely a picture of what Jesus did for us, and maybe an opportunity to witness and share to others. And so that to me is just so exciting. I think that's beautiful, because my prayer is that I have hundreds of people that come through this garden and teach them kind of different ways to grow food and steward the land, and hopefully share that Jesus loves them and that he died on the cross for them, and you too. So on the side of it though, I'm still kind of debating. Maybe you guys can put some input here. I've got these 2 pieces. These are 10-foot long pieces, and I was thinking I would make a long bed going this way, because the sun goes straight across just like this. So it's east and west right there. And so I was thinking it can go that way, but then I was also thinking I could make them go this way. I'm not sure. So we're trying to figure that out. And then in here I want to put pole beans, like green beans and different things that I can grow kind of as a bulk pick multiple times thing. So that's that. This right here is what's left over of what we cut down. These logs are actually in the bottom of every one of these boxes. I build my garden with a modified hugelkultur method, which I'll do a video on as soon as we can get some soil. Jackson did that. He moved all these logs because he's Haas and he's strong, and I am not, and I'm getting there. So Haas means strong.
Oh, okay.
He's looking at me funny. So anyway, these logs soon will be gone, and once they're gone, my sweet husband is going to build me a workbench as long as the shed. And then back here is a mess, but I'm just gonna share it. This is real life. This is what it really looks like, y'all. But there's 2 peaks off of the roof line here on the shed, and so I actually want to make a system on both sides, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, where we harvest and catch rainwater and filter it back in here into some rain barrels, some IVs, those big tanks or whatever, the food grade tanks. But I want to try an experiment with Jadam fertilizer, Jadam fertilizer, and it's a fermentation process that it hones in on a specific type plant. So you use what you thin out and weed off of a plant, and you put it into a container and you let it ferment for a few weeks, and then you dilute that down, and that's your fertilizer, and it makes a self-sustaining fertilizer for your garden, and you don't even have to leave your property, and you don't have to depend on the store. So I'm excited about that. I've got to get that situation set up. So it's going to be a rain barrel into a fertilizing process, and then I'll have the workbench, and that is going to be super exciting. And then back here will be kind of our landing area where I'll store things like the cages and different things like that. So that's neat that I've got that figured out. And then as we go through, these are the boxes that I have planted already. I don't know, I won't take you through every one of them, but we'll go through the main aisles. Hi, baby. So these are the early spring crops. In these beds, I've got collard greens over here. Behind Jackson, right here, this is the collard greens. Because what Southern woman doesn't grow collards? And then I've got broccoli in the far bed, filter crest cabbage, which is the cabbage that comes to a point, and it's the best cabbage to make sauerkraut with. So that's exciting. My friend Cindy shared those seeds with me. And then I've got cauliflower right here, and then right here behind me is potatoes, and they're just about ready to harvest. Look at those blooms. These blooms, to me, the first time I saw it, this is the nightshade. The first time I saw it, they looked like they were from a different planet flower. So that's pretty neat. Hey, do a close up, please. Aren't those pretty? Mm-hmm. Good job. Now this is the seed pods that I've got some bok choy.
Sorry.
This is some seed pods that I've got some bok choy going on to save the seeds. And it actually looks, if you look behind me, it looks like that bloom right there. And then it turns into the seed pods. I can do a video on that if you guys would like, on how to save seeds. And then right here, I just pulled out some broccoli raw. So in that bed, it's cabbage and onions. And that bed over there is tomatoes and cabbage, nasturtium, and that's it over there. And these are all onions. This is my second wave. This is the onions that I planted first. And then those here, and then those ones are my third. So that way they all come to fruition at different times, so I'm not overrun with a bunch of onions, and they can store at different lengths of time so that I can have that longer in my pantry. Right here behind me, or behind Jackson, is garlic. And in that garlic, I used soil from where my greenhouse toppled over and flipped seedlings. And so I just actually collected all the soil from those seedlings that were ruined and popped them in here and volunteered. My first year I have volunteer garden, and I just think that's the coolest thing. So these are tomatoes. I do not know what type of variety they are. We'll see. And then I've got cilantro right here, and it's bolting, which means that it's going to seed. And I'm actually gonna let it go to seed, because then that turns into coriander. And that way I can have that in my pantry as well. So over here, I had a client at a volunteer place that I work at gift me with a lemon tree, and so that's what this is. And then on this side right here, I've got a very big mix of things. This is a good example of a bed in transition from the spring garden to the summer garden, because I've got radishes that I'm letting go to seed to save those seeds. And then I've got tomatillos right here, a couple of something, because they popped up from the soil from the greenhouse fiasco. And bok choy right here, these are all tomatillos. This, and that. And then, and look, these also have a really cool blossom that looks otherworldly. So that's neat. I've got purple and green tomatillos here. This is dinosaur kale. And I've got sweet peas blooming, and I'm really excited about that, because that is my #1 favorite snack in the garden that I eat just fresh, straight out of the garden.
Me too.
Yeah, it's
They're
so good.
delicious.
So good. If you've never had a fresh pea out of the garden,
You're missing
try
out.
It is missing out, yeah. So these guys right here, it is getting a little hot for sweet peas right now. Like, it'll be 86 today.
Really?
Oh. That's why I wanted to do this early. So they're blooming, but they're fading fast. So I actually put this sign in the way to try to shade them, to keep them from having this browning happening. But anyway, we've got sweet peas. So excited. Brunswick cabbage right here. I've got some carrot seeds in there, and I was hoping that they would germinate and come up faster than they did. They took forever to germinate. I've never had, it was probably months before that sucker started. So anyway, I had that. So I've got some. So maybe after we harvest the cabbage, the carrots might grow a little bit better, but you know, we'll see. It never hurts to put a seed in the ground just to see what happens. This is a grapevine.
Grape?
Grape, like a Concord grape, like you make grape juice out of. That happens to be someone's favorite juice. Is that you?
No, my favorite juice is apple.
Apple juice, that's true. Yeah. So anyway,
Grape is my second.
yes. So this is, she's so happy. We're going to do a permanent arbor right over here. This is the side entrance of the garden that goes to the potting shed. But we'll have a permanent arbor right here that we'll probably build. And then that's what the grapevine will grow over, and I'm really excited about that. And then this is another example of a high intensity bed that is planted exactly the same, except for it has red Russian kale in it. And that's just about it. So that's the garden. I've tried to put over here the pollinator boundary. I don't really know what to call this yet, but in it, it's got edibles. Like, I've got oregano, basil, blueberries, and things like that.
Not drugs.
Not drugs. No, not drugs.
Yeah.
So I've got the edible plants mixed in with pollinator plants, so that it's more of a permaculture situation, so that I can use up every space that I have for beauty and functionality. So we'll be using the basil for cut flowers. My daughter is going to try to start a cut flower business, which I'm really excited about for her. And then just kind of build it into my landscape, and I'm just thrilled. I am tickled as much as I could possibly be with this beautiful garden, and how hard my sweet family has worked to make it come together. And I'm really glad that you guys came along today, and I'm so glad that y'all were able to see what we were doing, and I hope that it gives you encouragement to do the same, because you can grow food if you have a desire in your heart, and if you feel like it's something that you want to do, honey, go for it. Do it. Just do it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for staying this long. If you've hung out this long, please make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so that we can get to know each other, and you can see the videos that are coming up, and you can follow me on my adventure. I hope you guys have a blessed day.